Hey everyone, I will be attending the Tuesday National Football League owners meeting in Chicago, the special meeting held to discuss the opportunities to put an NFL team in the Los Angeles market. I'm quite excited to hear what the owners have to say about the possibility of putting a team in that region. So let's, as a kind of a preparation, do a bit of a recap of who is where. Let's start with St. Louis, where Monday, a week ago, court said that St. Louis could hold, or could rather, float a bond for their planned waterfront stadium without a public vote. That is huge. The National Football League always favors municipalities that spend public money on stadiums. And in this case, as Robert Kraft said, they would be obligated to keep the Rams in St. Louis with a deal like the one that's going to emerge, where they don't have to go to the public for a vote. If that happens in St. Louis, then we turn to, you guessed it, the Inglewood Stadium in Los Angeles, which at the NFL owners meeting in San Francisco, the spring meeting, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said that, and the NFL informed us that the Inglewood Stadium was actually in a better position to host, as of now, to host an NFL team earlier than the Carson counterpart, being able to theoretically do that by 2018 or 2019. Now, where we stand is that if the St. Louis deal goes through, that will harm the Inglewood deal, because Stan Kroenke's Inglewood Stadium is based on the idea that the Rams can't work out anything in St. Louis and therefore would have to relocate to Los Angeles. Well, okay, that's out of the picture. So if that goes away, which it looks like I think it's going to happen, to be honest with you. If that goes away, then we've got Carson. And Carson becomes the NFL's LA focal point because there would be no Inglewood, right? Now, in Carson, what they have is an approval to go before voters, which I think is going to be a slam dunk, for a stadium for the Chargers and the Raiders, which have spent a combined $900,000 on the ballot measure to date. In terms of that stadium, the success of Carson really depends on the failure to produce stadium deals in both San Diego home place and Oakland home place. San Diego, roughly a week ago, produced an excellent proposal to the NFL's Executive Vice President of Business Operations, Eric Grubman, and other NFL representatives, and really set the tone for a hoped-for, agreed-upon deal prior to that September 11th deadline. By Tuesday, they will have exactly 1 month, the Chargers and the city of San Diego, to secure that deal. That's the end of it. That's the deadline. If they can't do it by then, well, all bets are off. There's been noise made in the media regarding CEQA. And the bottom line is, Grubman made a statement last week that the NFL learned a lot about CEQA and fast tracking that the NFL didn't know before. That's very important, because the NFL was under the impression that CEQA was so cumbersome that it was going to tie up San Diego's ability to really produce a viable stadium plan quickly. Well, not necessarily. Others in the media took note of a 34-page letter by a law firm as a lawsuit, or filed lawsuit. It wasn't. If anything, it was this particular law firm, I will not name, being very, how would I say, opportunistic in cleverly advertising its abilities with respect to CEQA and stadiums by noting the deficiencies, or what they thought were deficiencies in the Chargers plan, okay? And knowing how these things work, it sounds like they're smarting for not being involved in the whole matter in the first place, and they're just trying to say, well, here's a letter, and we know a lot of people in the media aren't savvy enough to figure out that this, isn't a lawsuit filing, so they'll say it's a lawsuit filing when it's not. It's not. Anyway, the point that I'm making is that don't mistake that as something that's going to put a monkey wrench, if you will, into the San Diego plans for a new stadium. It won't. I say this again. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer is running for re-election. He doesn't want to lose this. He'll figure out a way. I'm confident of that. The Chargers Stadium plan that was put together by his task force is one type of plan, okay? But I haven't seen, and you haven't seen, someone out there has seen it, certainly Mayor Faulconer's seen it, his financing plan. I don't know what that one looks like. It may not call for a vote regarding public money, but he's promised to vote anyway, which I think is kind of ridiculous. Why do that if you don't need to? They should have structured it so they didn't need to. But, yeah. Okay. That is coming up to... This next month is going to be a lot of fun watching San Diego, because if San Diego works out their deal, then it kills the Carson deal, and it kills both the Chargers' move to Carson in the LA region, and therefore the Raiders' move from Oakland to Carson. Now, the Oakland situation, the county and the city are more interested in navel-gazing right now than actually getting a plan out of the way. And retaining Floyd Gebhardt new city development has wasted a lot of time. That group should have been jettisoned last fall. That didn't happen. We wasted a lot of time. But now I think there's a realization that's the case. I am told by friends that Oakland, the Raiders, are giving the city of Oakland until the end of the year to come up with a stadium plan. So there's a lot of time in there, and they've got my version of it, which I understand from other sources will be used in not exactly that way I've designed, but in some fashion, okay? So I did my homework, and I'm very proud of what I've done. And even though some people say, well, you report about this and you talk about your plan. Look, as a publisher, I have the right to do that. A. B. No one has proved that my plan isn't a good one. Because of my background, I've produced a great one. And C. Hey, I'm a newspaper publisher, okay, as I said before. And that's the power of a publisher, to be able to get involved in helping his or her city, in this case, retain a business, the Raiders. That's what I was doing. If somebody else, you have a problem with that? Sorry. That's life, pal. Point to be made back to the Oakland, Alameda County situation, separate from my stadium plan, is that now Claudia Capio's in the driver's seat, and she's on the hook to produce something, but Claudia, my hope is, doesn't do this in a vacuum, that the process has turned out we have a task force. There are a lot of technical mistakes that we've made along the way, and we spent almost 10 years on this, since 2006 when Coliseum C was first proposed as an idea. It's time to really fast track this and get this thing done. If we get it done, then the Raiders stay here and the Carson deal falls apart. The fact that the Raiders have given us to the end of the year means that by no means is this issue over, and you can't just say, oh, LA is going to get a team. It's still up in the air. It really is. Because let's play out a scenario where LA doesn't get a team. The scenario looks like this. St. Louis gets its deal done. San Diego gets its deal done. If St. Louis and San Diego get their deals done, that's it. Or St. Louis gets its deal done, and Oakland gets its deal done, because it has until the end of the year. If both of those deals happen, or those scenarios occur, Carson's done. Okay? Inglewood's done. No NFL in LA. So think about it. You've got, out of the scenarios, you have St. Louis, Oakland, and San Diego. So you've got basically two of the three in either combination that would work, that would kill it. So if you think about the total number of possibilities, there are more possibilities that right now, as they're unfolding, point to the NFL not being in LA than the reverse. I've always said the NFL should focus on an expansion team in LA and not moving an existing one. Follow me on Zenny62 as I go to Chicago for the Tuesday, August 11th NFL Owners Meeting.